Next, chronologically, we have Dago, set on the 30th of the 5th moon. So this is the day after that Renato chapter. But we're back up north here, where Dago had been in Elakar, presumably. Of course, he's not faring so well last we left him. And since we do have character art for him, I will put that up as well. Nice to look at while I do the reading. All right, let me see here. Oops. There we go. So we've got Dago here. We read about him last time in his Kishar, the golden plated sword he had with him. Let's see where he's at a few days later. Last time it was, the 26th of the 5th moon. So now we are 4 days later? Yes, 4 days after we left him in chains, being cauterized by a blade on his back. All right. Let me take another sip here. Dago 2, 30th of the 5th moon, 1478. Dago's home had become a small, damp cell. The bricks around him were mismatched colors, a dozen tones of brown and beige, and many were stained with blood. He tried to do stretches each day, but he knew he would receive no aid from his captors if he reopened the wound in his back. His muscles were stiff, and without the proper food, he might be stiff for the rest of his days. Sitting in the dark, Dago wondered how many more days he might expect. His arm and leg had been set when he awoke from the ordeal days ago. They seemed to be biding their time, waiting for jobless, captured Dago to recover. But why? "Guard," Dago called, not bothering to stand up. "Did you fix my bones just to let me rot?" The guard did not respond. Dago couldn't even be certain there was a guard still. His cell was bordered by an old iron door, icy to the touch. Dago started coughing, noisy, rough barks that echoed off the walls. "Guard!" he shouted after a moment. There came the sound of boots, treading on the floor stones outside his cell. The scuffing stopped in front of his iron door. Dago didn't breathe, but neither did whoever was outside. Then, with an unkind clatter and screech, keys jangled into the lock, and the door scraped ajar. "Lift him up," a woman's voice said. Dago scrambled to his feet, but it didn't really work well. His muscles seized up. Then a black-clad man grabbed him with dirty hands and hauled him to his feet. Dago's back was so cramped he remained hunched, his black skin beading with sweat and his face contorted in a scowl. "Don't hurt yourself," the woman said. Same woman, though she now wore a red dress and a white clasp in her black hair, though it hung to her waist on one side of her body. Dago attempted a shrug. "Don't have to. Your henchman took care of that, madame." "You may call me Miss Puzzle," she said quietly. "I'll call you whatever I want, whore," Dago said. If he still had his Kishar, he'd carve her men into pieces and then get started on her. The man who was holding him stepped forward a step and drove an elbow into Dago's gut. Pain blinded him, and he fell to his knees. He tried smiling to her, and her grunt as he was returned to his feet by rough hands. Miss Puzzle gave him a genuine smile, full of delicate white teeth. She stepped closer to him until he could smell the cinnamon she wore again. "You can call me whatever you like, but it won't make me that. Whatever you call me, I am and shall remain a mystery to you, Dago." Dago relaxed his shoulder and gave a dull shake of his head. "Am I to remain rotting here, in this hole?" "No, what a waste!" She seemed surprised by the question, and the delight on her beautiful face was almost enough to make him forget his predicament. If those goons of hers had not arrived that night in the open-doored alehouse, he would have had an excellent evening with Miss Puzzle. But now she had his life in her hands, and it was not a situation which Dago found at all of interest to him. "No, no, Dago. You're going to get my men into Yerrick." Dago blinked. Then he started laughing. "No, I'm not," he said after a minute. "Then you die. It's pretty simple. You got out of Yerrick once. You know the way back in," Miss Puzzle said. "You either help us infiltrate, or we help you fertilize." I swore I'd never returned there. It's a mountain of bones, miss. A nightmare that is overlapped with our world. Dago closed his eyes. They would kill him. It was simple. There had to be another option. Very well, Miss Puzzle said. She reached down to her thigh, pulled back the dress she wore, to reveal a knife strapped above her knee. It was a thin little blade, which left it sheathed without so much of a whisper. She lifted it up and stepped close enough for him to feel her quiet, calm breath. Fine, Dago said. It was drawn out from the same instinctual center of his brain where he had found the willpower to escape Yerrick in the first place. I'll help you, he said, but only because you're pretty. She flashed him her lovely smile again and slid away the deadly little knife. Excellent. You'll leave in the morning. You and my team will take a ship around Redrigar to Tempera Bay, and you will instruct them how to approach Yerrick for your arrival. So you'll just kill me once your men get into the city? She shrugged. I might. If you're useful, though, maybe I will find some other use for you. Miss Puzzle and her guard began to leave, but when the guard grabbed the door handle, Dago said, One last question, please. By all the gods of man, what do you want in Yerrick? The woman in the red dress turned back, looking past her guard, and said without smiling, We're going to kill a commander. And that was Dago, Chapter 2. He's got himself in quite the predicament, and has some secrets in his past, it sounds like. Might be relevant to his survival going forward.